You know, one of the things that I found really surprising with this channel is how often people say that they like the sound of my voice, how it's soothing, how it's easy listening. When I grew up, I constantly had people making fun of my voice. I mean, like, I grew up in Latin America, and it's very common, like, if you're talking, somebody passing by or just around will, like, say the same thing you said, mocking how your voice sounds. It got to the point where I just, like, learned to ignore this kind of stuff. And I remember, like, about 4 years ago now, I was walking around with, like, my ex's family, and I was just really happy hiking with them, and I said something, and it was, like, in my usual, you know when I get, like, really happy, and I get goofy, and I start sounding like a seal, like, oh, yeah, well, hey, guys, it's a Buskin here, whoa, whoa, whoa. I guess I find it annoying, but I guess you guys don't find it annoying, sort of pitch. I remember I was walking with this girl's family, and I'm like talking about whatever, and I do it in that pitch, and some dude walking by, I've never met this motherfucker in my life, makes fun of my tone by just saying the exact same thing I said. I ignore it, but my then girlfriend's little brother is like, you know, that guy was making fun of your voice. Are you gonna square up with him? Or are you gonna, like, start shit? Or are you just gonna let that fly? And, like, this kid's, like, maybe 11, 12? And, like, the entire family is just, like, the rest of them are, like, totally quiet. And I'm trying to explain to the kid that, like, it's not worth squaring up with, like, random people and risking prison time just because they mocked your voice. But, like, none of them seem to understand that. As I got to know how toxic they were, I kind of realized at that moment was a bit of a red flag and how I should, you know, have understood that at that point and gotten out of there. But anyways, I know you guys don't find my voice annoying or weird, so welcome to another Q&A, and get ready to hear my voice talking about a bunch of random shit you guys have asked me.
Are you challenging me?
Maybe.
So our first question comes from Dandy S, who's asking what kind of microphone setup I'm using. This was in regards to a post I made talking about the closet voice I've been having since, you know, the area I'm in is kind of loud. So, yeah, there's a little bit of an echoey noise in my voice, that's kind of why. And in regards to what microphone I'm using the one built right into my phone. Like, I want you guys to understand, I do not have some crazy expensive setup. I've been doing these videos and editing stuff on my phone since 2020. I use iMovie, I use the built-in microphone, and yeah, like, if other YouTubers are like a fully kitted out infantryman with like the best optics, the best rifle, all this kind of stuff, I'm like the random insurgent using a Mosin Nagant that's been in use since like the 1800s. And yeah, that's part of the reason why I've been able to just constantly keep up an output of videos, because my setup is just incredibly cheap. It costs me nothing to make these videos, except for when I have to like buy recording equipment for, like, you know, game footage that I take. But yeah, like, my microphone setup is literally just my phone that I'm talking into inside of this closet right now while wearing my tank top and beach shorts. Nothing high tech is going on here, trust me. Well, the next question is coming from Dead Spacho, who's asking what my favorite gun in video games is of all time. And if I have to pick a singular weapon, I'm probably gonna go with the M90 Cause pump action shotgun from Halo Combat Evolved. Now, I know I've told this story many times before in the past, so apologies in advance if you've already heard this. However, when I was a kid playing Combat Evolved and the Flood were revealed, I was really taken by surprise. I had no idea they were in the game. I was in that flow of fighting Covenant, and then all of a sudden you throw something else at me, and it really freaked me out. Like, I was pretty scared. I think I was about like 13 at the time, because I've been playing Combat Evolved since I was like 3, but it took me a while till I was old enough to like really understand what I was playing and really beat the game. So when I got to 343 Guilty Spark and all this shit started happening, I was really freaked out, really scared. But then when I found the M90 Cause, it was like a teddy bear in a really scary, stormy night. And all of a sudden I felt safe, I felt equipped to take on the Flood, and for the rest of the game, the M90 Cause never really left my character's hands. So yeah, if I have to pick one video game gun or weapon that really sticks out to me, has made an impact on me, has, you know, changed my life, which it has, because now IRL, I fucking love shotguns, and I use them all the time, any chance I get at a range. So yeah, the M90 Cause is my favorite weapon in video games of all time. So the next question is coming from Samuel Antonio Castillo Meza. And dude, you keep on changing your profile picture, so every time you comment, I think it's somebody else. It's not until I actually record the Q&A that I realize the question's from you. But yeah, it's good to see you here again. He's asking, which game do I think portrays Big Boss at his most heroic? He says that he thinks it's Portable Ops, and every time I see the words Portable Ops, my eyes melt out of my skull. No, in all seriousness, I know about Portable Ops, I've seen the cutscenes, I know the story, I know what goes down. I've tried playing it, it's not my kind of thing, I just can't get into it. But in regards to what shows Big Boss at his most heroic, it's probably Peace Walker. Because one, in Peace Walker, you see Big Boss, you know, give people a new sense of purpose in life when they're down at their lowest. And the way the game frames this is that he's almost like this messiah type of figure that's coming into the world and picking up all these lost sheep and giving them purpose, when he's in actuality hiring child soldiers and, you know, getting civilians involved in conflicts against the KGB and CIA, pretty much damning them for the rest of their lives, being wanted in both anywhere in the first world and second world. 2, Big Boss does a lot of cool shit in this game. Consecutive CQC, cutscenes where he's just taking out a whole bunch of dudes, lifting up a Metal Gear's foot with his sheer strength. He's a superhero in this game. And then of course 3. This game really feels like an anime where there's this kind of fantasy element to it, where everything is like too good to be true. It's not necessarily the hyper reality of Snake Eater, it's just pure fantasy. You are the hero coming in, standing up to these superpowers in this third world country, uniting peoples together to fight the oppression of the CIA and the KGB. And it's just like this, yeah, it's a total power fantasy. So in terms of which shows Big Boss as being the most heroic, it's this power fantasy fueled superhero game. Now we got a question from Atomic Pliskin, who's asking, what's the most amount of enemies I've killed in a given game session? Now, of course, I think about, you know, Halo, the campaigns, the firefight, and the hordes of enemies that you have coming your way. I think of Black Ops Zombies, but it's probably in Snake Eater. I remember there was one playthrough I had where I literally snapped everyone's neck, and if I didn't snap somebody's neck, I slit open their throat. So when I got to the Sorrow, I was passing by all these people and I was probably playing for upwards of 40 minutes, just walking through all of these different bodies. To the point where I actually stopped and recorded my gameplay for my friends in a group chat, and just every enemy going, my neck, over and over again for like eternity. So for it to last that long, I'd probably say that's probably one of the most amount of guys I've killed in a video game. There's probably another game where I've done it more, but that's definitely the most memorable one. Okay, well, let's get pretty quiet now, because I'm going to try to skip over Imperial Soldier's question.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
Alright, fine, you got me. So he's asking if I think Volume 2 of the Metal Gear Solid Collection will be better than Volume 1. If they're, like, Konami will learn their lesson. Here's the thing, I am perfectly fine with Metal Gear, like, Collection, the Master Collection, Volume 1. I have Snake Eater on the Switch, and then I have the entire collection on PlayStation 5. And yeah, I see, you know, there's issues with frame rates, things don't run as good as they do on the PS Vita or PlayStation 3, there's other minor issues, but all in all, the fact that I'm able to now play Metal Gear Solid Integral, a game that I only dreamed of ever experiencing, being able to go through Shadow Moses with that MP5 SD and see Meryl in that costume is really freaking cool. I'm happy that Snake Eater and Metal Gear Solid 2 are both available on the Switch, And yeah, it's just games preservation. I wasn't expecting complete remakes or remasters, it's just putting these games on modern consoles, which is a good thing because for a long time, you had to own a PlayStation 3 to really be able to play all the different Metal Gear games. Now you can be on any console and you can experience them. So I don't really care that this isn't some grand super package. I don't really get angry about stuff anymore. You know, like back in the day, I used to be like, oh my god, The Last of Us 2, that game is so woke, it's so terrible. Oh my god, and look at Abby, and look at Joel. And I also used to like watch all those videos that were like, oh my god, the Star Wars sequel trilogy is so woke. Blah, 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 Mary Sue. And it's just like, I don't care. The approach I take with these things is just
Ain't nothing but a thing.
so like when the Metal Gear Solid collection comes out and it's just kind of, you know, some new stuff, rougher ports of, you know, games that run better on older hardware, I don't really get bothered much. I don't get angry by things. So they can put in the whole, oh, some of the ideas in this game are outdated warnings at the beginning, and I don't really care. It's just Metal Gear that's much more accessible, and that's a good thing for me. So if Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 2 is literally just ports of all the other games, I don't mind. As long as I can play this stuff, especially if it's on the Switch, I don't care if it like looks like a rougher version of Metal Gear Solid 5's PlayStation 3. I don't care if the frame rates are shit. As long as I can play these games on newer consoles, again, specifically the Switch, because the Switch is just, you know, Metal Gear in my pocket, and you know, I had the PS Vita for that in the past, but the fact that I'm going to be able to have Metal Gear Solid 5, Metal Gear Solid 4, those kind of games, possibly in my pocket, that's really cool. That's going to be what I'm getting the collection for. So yeah, I don't really care. Of course, Dead Spacho's chiming in here saying, oh yeah, look what they're doing with Silent Hill, and yeah, like, give Konami shit, by all means. A lot of people thought that because I made that big video bashing Kojima, that I'm just instantly, oh yes, Konami #1, like, no. Konami deserves a lot of shit for all the bad business decisions they've made in the past. But I'm just not the type to get really upset at certain products that release. If anything, I get more upset at this outrage culture that we see all over online, being like, oh my god, why doesn't Metal Gear Solid 2 have a different camera? Oh my god, look at the frame rates, it's not running on RTX, blah blah blah, blah. Like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, of course people have a right to be angry, but I just hate these dudes that like scream into cameras because, you know, of a video game or a movie. It's like, fuck that. I'm happy with Metal Gear Master Collection Volume 1, I see its flaws, but I got real problems in life. So the next question is coming from Suckass Mort, who's asking what my favorite Far Cry is, saying he's only played 2 and thought it was decent. Now Suckass Mort, for some reason I remember you being around here for a while, but I guess you're still pretty new to the channel, because I've been very vocal in the past. Like, if you look at any of my videos from 2019 to 2022, pretty much all I could talk about aside from Metal Gear Solid 5 and Halo 1 was Far Cry 4. In fact, there was probably a time where I talked about Far Cry 4 more than I talked about Halo 1 because that was the only thing I had available to record. Far Cry 4 is easily the best Far Cry. Its open world design is immaculate. The amount of verticality keeps exploring feeling fresh instead of just mashing forward constantly. There's all these secrets, collectibles to discover, there's all these like hidden events, there's all these world events that happen in your face, the karma system gives you a reason to interact with friendly NPCs, you have the hunting mechanics that are really cool to upgrade yourself, you have towers to unlock your different guns. I love Far Cry Towers, and I think that's one of the worst things that they got rid of moving forward from 4. But yeah, the grapple hook, the wingsuit, the vehicles, traversal feels good, the stealth feels good, the combat feels good. Of course, you also have the map creator that I have been making content with since 2014. Like, this is the best map creator you can get your hands on. Halo Infinite's can do more, the modding community can do more, but if you're not someone who's into like coding, programming, or taking 15 hours just to get one simple thing to work, the Far Cry 4 map editor is where you go. It's so easy and approachable, and you just have infinite fun creating all the different situations you would want to create. Also, I've recently been playing the expansions that I've never played before, and those are really fun too. I definitely want to make a video on Valley of the Eddies and what it does with its sandbox later on when I get working recording equipment, because I'm still having issues with that and probably will be for a long while. But yeah, Far Cry 4 is easily the best Far Cry you can get. It's the one I keep coming back to. I understand why everyone's so nostalgic and loving of Far Cry 3, but like 4 just is the best. So if I have to recommend a Far Cry game to you, if you were only going to spend money on one of them, get Far Cry 4. I don't care what you get it on, I don't care how you play it, just get Far Cry 4. Just play Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 is really fucking good. Take a shot every time I say Far Cry 4 next time you watch this video, and you'll end up in a coma. Far Cry 4. Alright, now Hymus is asking my thoughts on Fallout New Vegas and is asking whether or not I'll make any videos on it. Now, Fallout New Vegas is one of my most favorite games of all time. I love the faction system, I love some of the armors you can get in it, and the side quest writing is immaculate. It's really fun to just go into this game and talk with people like a real RPG. It's probably the last RPG that was made by a AAA studio, although with Baldur's Gate now, that might not be a thing. I haven't played Baldur's Gate, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but in regards to Fallout New Vegas, when I first started my channel, I did some recording with Fallout New Vegas, and I made some videos where I featured it. Specifically, the first time I ever bring up the terms single purpose and level up system is in a video where I feature Fallout New Vegas pretty heavily. Thing is, I didn't record Fallout New Vegas a lot after that, and then recently I did a little bit of recording for it, and yeah, like starting a whole new game with it, it's gonna take me hours to get to things that I want to show off, and hours to get to stories that I want to talk about, and I feel like Fallout New Vegas has been covered to death by multiple different YouTubers on this platform. So I don't know how much more I can bring to it, aside from occasionally mentioning a specific thing in tandem with another video idea. So I love Fallout New Vegas, I might feature it, but don't really count on it, just because that's not something I feel I can add too much to. So now we have another question from Dead Sponcho asking what my favorite kind of weapon in video games is overall. Now, in regards to a weapon class, I've always had an affinity for pistols, and I've always had an affinity for shotguns, but I also really like grenade launchers and SMGs. So for pistols, I obviously really like sidearms. I grew up playing Halo 1, that pistol definitely made an effect on me, and I just like how pistols function in games. I like how they function in real life. There's something really personal about a sidearm that you don't really get with larger small arms. So like when I play games like Metal Gear and Snake is sneaking around with nothing but a pistol, you got that idea of being nimble, about being, silent, about engaging the enemy at closer ranges, about being able to move easier, about being a lot more versatile and more so about stealth than a guy walking around with an assault rifle. When I play Resident Evil and you're a survivor trying to, make it past these mounting odds, a pistol is going to be the thing that you find a lot of ammunition for, and when you're crawling around in sewers or, fucked up mansions, you want to have something you can keep at your side if a zombie's going to jump out at you and engage you at super close range. So there's this, this sense of comfort I get with pistols, so I really like that as a category of weapons. Then of course there's shotguns. I've already told you what my favorite weapon is in video games, and it's a shotgun. Another one I really like would be the Benelli M3 in Resident Evil 3 Remake, which is still my favorite Resident Evil remake. The Resident Evil 1 remake is pretty high up there, but there's something about Resident Evil 3 remake, its replayability, how easy it is to get back into it, the tightness of its sandbox that I really like, and this shotgun has a lot to do with that. I really like the idea of starting off with this traditional looking pump action shotgun and slowly going through the world, exploring and finding different attachments to turn it into a semi-auto, room clearing beast of a gun. There's something about the sheer power with a shotgun that just makes me feel safe. It takes me back to Halo 1. But then SMGs are really cool because unlike assault rifles, these things are a lot more niche in their application. Like if you're going around with an MP5 SD, you know what your guy is there and what he's doing, versus if you're just going around with a generic AK, you know, that's just more of generic infantryman. If you're going around with a Chris Vector hopping in and out of vehicles, or, you know, using those suppressors, or jumping out of a bush and spraying into a bunch of guys really fast, like SMGs are just cool. And a lot of their designs and mechanisms tend to be a lot more unique than rifles or other classes of weapons. Like 90% of assault rifles are just based off of the AK or the AR-15, in their aesthetics, in their function, and all that kind of stuff. But SMGs, that's where creativity really starts to flow, and I really value creativity in all things, so I think that's what attracts me to SMGs. And then grenade launchers are just angrier versions of shotguns, you know? They function in a lot of similar ways with, you know, revolver type grenade launchers, with pump action grenade launchers, break barrel grenade launchers. They're always really cool, and video games always go about balancing them in unique ways, whether there's strategy in arcing your shots, whether there's different ammunition types that you need to balance out, or whether you have that like gimmick from Halo Reach where you can disable enemy vehicles using the grenade launcher. It's just really cool every time you see them. So yeah, those are my favorite kind of weapon types in games, but if I have to go with a singular overall class of weapons that I really like, it's probably going to go with pistols, just because of that personal attachment and characterization that comes along with them. Alright, we got another question from, Samuel, Señor Castillo, dos diferentes profile pictures en un video. Like, man, this is like insane. This is like a record. Like, you change profile pictures like Katy Perry's ex changes clothes. I don't know if you guys are like too young to understand that. Makes me feel old. But anyways, on the note of feeling old, Antonio's asking me which cartoons I enjoyed as a kid that I still enjoy all grown up. Now, the majority of the things I enjoyed as a kid, I still enjoy now, just because, why not? But if I have to name a couple cartoons, Powerpuff Girls, I can watch this shit all day, and there have been times where I have. The Batman animated series and the Justice League animated series are like some of my all-time favorites. I got into those when I was a kid. Then the Arkham games came out and I got into that, and that reinvigorated my love for those cartoons. But yeah, man, like even if you put on a show like Zaboomafoo, which had some cartoon elements, like I'll still watch that now. Like, so pretty much everything I experienced as a kid, I'll still watch at the moment. Johnny Bravo, like there's so much, and if we start talking about anime, we're gonna be here all day. So yeah, I still love my cartoons now. So now Leon Wick is asking me if I've seen Standalone Complex, and if I did, if I like it. Now, on the Microsoft Store, there was recently a sale on a whole bunch of different animes, so I bought Black Lagoon, I bought Cowboy Bebop, and I bought Serial Experiments Lain, because they were all really dirt cheap. And because of this comment, I tried to look for Standalone Complex, but it wasn't on there. If I get a chance to watch this show, I really want to. I watched the Ghost in the Shell movie, both, you know, the newer live action and, you know, the classic one, and it was really good. My only issue with the movie is that it was, you know, paced like a movie, so they couldn't go more into depth with a lot of different things that they brought up. So the idea of a Ghost in the Shell show is really freaking interesting to me. An anime that came out in the late 90s or early Y2K eras are also really interesting to me because it has the same look that I grew up with. Like, for example, Darker Than Black. Anything that looks like Darker Than Black or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I really like. Or things that are just slightly older than that, like Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, Black Lagoon, I also really get into. So I really want to watch this show, and you can bet that the second I do, I'm probably going to talk something about it. I don't know if I'll make a video talking about different animes or cartoons I watched. You guys ask me a lot about movies and just other forms of media, so maybe I should start talking about that. Let me know down in the comments below. Now we got a question from Flynn to Flinner asking what my favorite boss is in every Metal Gear Solid game. So Metal Gear Solid 1, that's easily going to be Vulcan Raven. I like it because it reminds me of my all-time favorite boss fight, which we'll get to. Metal Gear Solid 2, I really like the mass-produced Reyes fight. It's probably the most engaging and challenging Metal Gear fight in the entire series, so that's really cool. Metal Gear Solid 3, the whole reason I like Vulcan Raven is because I like the Fury. This is the best boss fight in the series. It has that cat and mouse sort of thing going on. You know, it's a stealth game with a stealth-based boss fight where you're constantly trying to hide, ambush, and get the drop on him before he gets the drop on you. There's also those environmental elements like shooting out pipes to, you know, drown out the water, and eating mushrooms to charge up your night vision goggles. So all of the mechanics of Snake Eater are on display here. Metal Gear Solid 4, I really like Laughing Octopus, even though it's simple, just because again it's a stealth game with a stealth boss fight where you're the one pursuing Laughing Octopus. It's really cool. Metal Gear Solid 5, Quiet is the best sniper fight in all of Metal Gear. You have to listen to your environment, use your int scope to scout around and try to find her. You're using your eyes, you're using your ears. It can be a sniper fight, or you can try to sneak up close and use close range weapons. Either way, it's really fun, really engaging, and really replayable. And because it comes with 2 different difficulties, it's, you know, approachable from 2 different ways. And because my main complaint with Metal Gear Solid 5 is that it's way too easy, I like that you have a harder version of this fight. So yeah, I only went over the mainline games, but those are my favorite boss fights in them. Then our last question comes from No Commentary, Just Games. And I hope if that's referring to your tastes, that I don't disappoint you, because my channel is all about commentary. He's asking, why Pliskin? Now, that's pretty easy. Yurkoi Pliskin, you know, he's Snake in disguise. And I've always thought of myself, you know, in the same way that David Hayter is the actual Snake. That's the voice, that's the guy involved in making these games. I am kind of that imposter or disguise Snake. I am the fan that talks about these games. I am the guy who knows a shit ton about these games. I am the guy that talks about, you know, what can these games be? Could they be more? Could they be less? Why are they the way they are? What makes them good? What makes them bad? So I'm so deeply involved in the series, but I'm just that other side of the mirror, you know? I am the consumer versus the producer. So I'd like to think of myself as the Venom Snake to David Hayter's Big Boss. If that's not too egocentric and pretentious of me now that I say that out loud, but yeah. So there it is, that's another Q&A. I hope you guys enjoyed. I love answering these questions, and I love the semi-social nature of these videos. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you thought about this video down in the comments. This has been Pliskin, over and out.
This is Solid Snake. Hey, subscribe to Pliskin Boy. God damn it.
So by no means an expert, but what I've been able to do is change the skybox of Battle Creek and add in an elite. I can't really do anything, he reacts to stuff, so yeah, that's the first bit of Halo modding I've ever done.